So I joined a while ago. This is a picture I tried to find out after I joined sometime in late 97, early 98 uh, in MMAE and AMPAC, which was a center for materials. Over the years, I got really interested in education early on. Some of my research, I don't want to read through it here, but can be found in several scholarly edited books and textbooks. One of the things that we worked on in 2006, nanoscale engineering education book with Aldrin Sweeney at College of Education. And if you are looking for any outreach activities, most of the things are here actually. The other thing that we run, which started an undergraduate research experience for from NSF, started in 2002. Now we have another one, just got through 21 to 24. But we have seen that the students we get, their perception going to grad studies, their interest is almost more than 70%. As I was saying that I'm very involved with education aspect. We also, I think I'm the first one to get an undergraduate education from NSF, where we did a lot of undergraduate courses. It was an interdisciplinary program among 6 departments and disciplines. That was also in 2003 timeframe. I don't recall the exact date. But other things that I got involved early on in my career, establishing a master's and PhD in material science and engineering, of course. Worked with my bosses, then Dr. Desai, director of AMPAC, and of course, Louis Chow at chair of MMA. And then subsequently got involved in MS program creation and nanotech, and also recently, also the creation of the undergraduate in material science and engineering. So that's kind of about me for last 23 years at UCF. So I've been talking about the journey of cerium oxide. I'm trying to move this window here. What was the motivation? Motivation was as follows. During my undergraduate days, I was looking into cerium oxide in microstructures, protecting stainless steels of 316 and 304 to prevent oxidation from high temperature. These are nuclear reactor materials for steels. So that was then back in undergraduate, almost 1990. Moving on, during my grad studies, I was looking into various silicates and their role in silicosis and asbestosis disease. What you see is a very complex silicate structure right here. And what you are seeing is that when you treat them, these silicates, where you've got iron and magnesium, with the cells, you start to see that the iron and magnesium leaches out from their structure and then increase in the cell content. And that creates some kind of oxidative reaction called Fenton reaction, which creates an oxidative damage to the cells. So that was another concept that developed during my grad studies on reactive oxygen species. So let's see how I connected these two and two. So this is back in 2003, 2004. I like to acknowledge here before I go to this slide, Vaidi, who really brought a lot of faculty from interdisciplinary fields. And he was one of them who really introduced me to a biologist and biomolecular science, looking into drug delivery aspects. So we are making the cerium oxide nanoparticles, and somebody in biology was looking into survive the neuronal cells. And be and hold, what happens is they're trying to provide SOD enzymes, but before that you need to look into the biocompatibility. And we start to see the cells live longer. The cells, neuronal cells, function very well. At the same time, we got a grant. One of the comments from the panel was that how does it compare with the normal antioxidant type material if you're selling the cerium oxide as antioxidants? And we see that single dose of this material really does a lot of good things to the cell as well. So back then we developed a hypothesis that in the nanoscale of cerium oxide, you have the mixed valencies, which really controls the reactive oxygen and reactive nitrogen species. What is this material? It's got a material which has been used in fuel cells, catalytic converter, gas sensors, polishing slurries, and so on and so forth. This is a very industrial scale material. But what happens in hold on. Nanoscale is that they come in two structure. One is a fluoride structure and one is the hexagonal structure. This is not a very stable structure, this CO2. But in nanoscale, what happens is that when you have a pressure, when the size goes down, the oxygen leaves the surface of the material and creates, what happens is that they leave behind 2 electrons in the 4f band, and that actually reduces cerium-4 and to cerium-3. And now cerium-4 and cerium-3 actually lives happily within oxygen vacancies, and they become extremely redox active. So we have looked into this material for many applications, lately COVID-19, but energy sensors, mostly biomedical. Of course, I don't do much on CMP or catalysis. I leave it to the experts on that. We have accomplished many things, many patents, many licenses, and some startups on this. And of course, this all happened due to interdisciplinary collaboration, and now really added an artificial intelligence and machine learning with the Gary Best team to look into the materials design. So this is a structure of the material, the ultra small material that you can see almost got to 2 to 3 nanometer. You can see some kinks and edges around the surface, and this is where the vacancy is happening. And of course, the material become very active. Over time, we have made different shape, size, rods, stars, and cubes. This star is nothing. What happened was that these are in solutions. They actually self-assemble them. This is actually in a polymeric medium and makes a beautiful star. And surface area is really high, more than 350 square meter per gram. The other thing that we do a lot of work on surface chemistry. We are the only group that can make this material in a solution without precipitating out, and we can give you almost 60% of the plus 3, but also we can change the microenvironment of the material to get you more plus 4 at a fixed size as well. So we can play with the vacancies and the multivalencies of this material. This is an interesting work that we did. You can see our papers that I listed here. This is called the surface reconstruction of this material. We created this material, and this is a 111 plane, and this is a 100 plane. We're trying to see under electron radiation really what happens. To summarize this slide, what is happening here is that at the 100 plane, you have the hopping of the cerium atoms going on because the oxygen is much easier to extract from there. So 2-second radiation, you see a smearing, split, then a single atom comes in here. So one of the most important thing that I can infer from here is that we work on radiation resistance materials and been funded through NASA before. And this is very important because if you can design this material with a terminated crystallographic plane, you can now design how this material will behave under radiation. One of the interesting things going on here is this big white blobs and nothing but the cerium atoms. Oxygen is very hard to image here. But during the radiation, the cerium oxygen chain, they're moving. They're creating the reduction process of the CO2 and the CEO, and which actually facilitates the quenching of a dipole moment here. And then finally, getting the 100 surface energy very similar to 111 and come to some kind of stability as well, thermodynamic stability. So we wanted to apply this for biomedical things. So people who are in biomedical arena, oxygen plays a very important role in respiration process of mitochondria and other cellular organisms. But what they do, they create the O2 radicals, and these O2 radicals gets involved with the body's copper SOD enzymes. They form H2O2. And then the iron catalyst enzyme takes over, degrade to H2 and O2, However, and this is a one electron oxidation reduction and its cycle goes on, but as the cell ages, you have also side chain reaction goes on, which produce really nasty radicals, which is really bad for the cells as well. So see if I can mimic the cerium oxide as a nanoenzyme like the SODs and catalases are. So we have a series of work that we did with Dr. Sell. We created two different cerium 3 and cerium 4 with more plus 3 and plus 4 states. And you can start to see as this curve goes down, that means these are more reactive. See, this material with more plus 4 state, there are also some active, but not as active as this material. So over the time, we postulated the reactions, what happens, the cerium 3 on the nanostructure really interacts with the O2 dot. This is mostly a disproportionate reaction. And then catalyzed to H2O2, and then the catalyst takes over, and then it degrades to H2 and O2, and the overall reaction gets regenerated over and over again. We also looked into, okay, if that is the case, if I have more plus 4 states, can it act like a catalyst? So this is one of the few inorganic oxide material, or probably the only one, which really exhibits both catalyst and the superoxide dismutase activity or the enzymatic activity. So what you see from here is that the material with more plus 3 states really doesn't do much in terms of dissociating the H2O2 to H2O and O2, but the material with more plus 4 state in the nano level can dissociate H2O2 to H2O and O2 as well. We looked into nanorods and nanocubes. This is, we actually monitored the oxygen evolution of the process just to see, can we quantify that, how much vacancy I need in the solution when I'm doing this experiment to really kill some of these radicals. I have few slides here. Hold on. Cancel. So this is in eye disease we are looking into, because oxidative stress plays a very important role. We are looking into the photoreceptors, which is right here, as you can see on the retina. This is the very first experiments where we looked into at different doses. This is the control where the rods and cones are totally preserved. And this is with the laser damage model, they are totally gone. And then you can see with the injection of these nanostructures, they really preserve the eye. And we also looked into electroretinogram. This is all gone. This is with the treatment. This is the control. They're all good. I have a few more slides left. This is a diabetic wound healing process where we are now tagging this material in their oxygen vacancies on the surface to microRNA 146A, but you can start to see that when we tag them, the wound closure really get faster heal in 4 days as well. The other thing that we are looking into, how to make this to the next level. This is all the credit and the kudos goes to Andrea Atkins, Svetlana, that Office of Technology Transfer team. They try to keep a balance between the academic and they try to really help on the commercialization aspects. This is the overall time frame why our different companies were interested, different licenses happened. And I believe when you can combine the two, you probably can make a huge impact in the work that you are doing. Just a quick thing, other applications that we have on cancer, angiogenesis, tissue engineering, a lot of these things we are working with our collaborative partner. This is the near-term goal. Of course, a lot of collaborations are needed on the materials modeling, sensing and environmental remediation. I'm also very interested in developing a surface science facility. Of course, long-term is FDA and EPA clearance of this material, and various center proposals on mixed oxides and other things. This is a very complex chart of the material. We have really touched base and made all these things, but you can start to see if you take one route of the synthesis, if you do the permutation combination, you can get a different cerium oxide nanostructure surface, and every surface will have a different role in biomedical arena, and that's what we see. Just quickly, slides that we want to show. We have a beautiful MRI instrument at our MCF facilities. We're looking into Dr. Davis's reliability on the solar materials, where you can effectively image the silver contacts and how the silver is degrading over time. And we have another one, back-to-back MRI got funded, where now you can do a lot of things in ambient pressure XPS. So we have this facility probably will be installed end of this year. I'd like to acknowledge all my students, postdocs who really did all the work. They're well placed in their lives. These are the collaborators. There are probably many more at UCF, but this I listed here with whom some grant has been funded. These are my outside collaborators. These are all my agencies funded over the last 20 years. And I like to give a face to the students, this is 5 years back, who really worked on different aspects of cerium oxide and their hybrid materials. With that, thank you again. Thanks to Vasu, Dean, and Jennifer to do this very good CCS seminar series, which I have learned a lot, and I believe I have attended probably 99% of them. So thank you so much.